Let's move on and talk about the pressure on government to review tariff hikes. Honorable Chedi, I'll start with you. Government has given is a 9.9% increase in the salaries. I mean, salaries around 9%. Then the tariff hike, electricity 9.83, water is 15.68 or so. So they say you cannot give us 9 when tariff you are increasing by 9.
So, Kojo, since when have we elevated a conversation to the point that when you increase salary by a certain percentage, tariffs should be going along the same line? For instance, when a few years ago salaries went up 20, 25, 30%, were people calling for tariffs to be moved that way?
No, the argument is that you can't give us 9 and then increase tariff by over 9%. It means that you've taken...
No, that's what I'm saying. So are you saying if salaries are increased by, say, 30%?
You don't have to increase
do they want,
they don't want the tariff to be 30%
the point is, it is part of the conversation, but that's not all. You look at the overall economic situation. And Kojo, let us go back a little bit. This issue of energy security that we've been politicizing is very worrisome. How did we get here? This tariff adjustment, let us all educate that it is quarterly adjustment as part of IMF conditionalities. The reckless borrowing by the previous government, profligate expenses, fiscal indiscipline brought us all to the point where pensioners could not access even their bonds. And the government had to run to IMF. You went to IMF, and part of the conditions is that there will be quarterly adjustment of the tariffs. And Kojo, because of political expediency, because of 2024 elections, the government decided not to comply with that. So they missed all the targets, and the 370 million that IMF should have released, they didn't release. So in the first place, if we're talking about quarterly adjustment that has brought us here, it is the previous government that signed that agreement, and this government has no other option other than to comply. Otherwise, IMF will not release the next tranche of 370 million. So that is the kind of education we need to give. Again, Kojo, let us also accept the fact that over the years, it is not about Nanado government, nor about Kufuor's government or Atamir's. There has been consistent, and I don't know if it is deliberate, underinvestment in our energy sector, leading to obsolete, inefficient transformers, equipment all over. And all the industry players, the generators, the distributors, the transmitters, all are running into serious debt. When this government took over, almost all the IPPs, independent power producers, had threatening shutting plants because government was owing virtually everybody. So we have a situation for political expediency, for elections purposes, government will say, I will not increase tariffs. Meanwhile, the government also does not have money to pay the generators. They don't have the money to pay fuel vendors. They don't have money to pay ECG, the distributors. They don't have money to pay Gridco, the transmitters. So do you want to have a situation where you pay somehow realistic tariffs and have energy security, energy all around? Or for how long can we go? But just as I've said, this overly discounting tariffs by previous regimes has led to a situation whereby the energy industry players are overwhelmed with debt, huge amount of debt. And President Mahama, as you know...
But isn't that why the 1 cedi per liter was introduced.
But that is not enough. As I said, and again, this is IMF conditionality. And the people who went to sign that deal flouted it at the final year in office. So
the IMF didn't give you the range you can go. So you could have done 1%, you could have done 2%.
No, Kojo, there is an amount you need to raise. And Kojo, the point I'm making is, we got to a point where generators, private generators, individual power producers have produced the price. They've given it to ECG. ECG has distributed, but they are not getting the money back to pay because the money coming is woefully inadequate. And that is the challenge. So in 2015, government was in a serious dilemma when we were heading to 2016 elections. The energy sector was completely overwhelmed with debt. And President took the bull by the horn by introducing ESLA, knowing very well that that could impact negatively on NDC's electoral fortunes. But that was the way to go, to raise money to deal with the energy sector crisis. It was approved, assented by the president, but President left office without implementing because it was assented in January 2025. 2025 to January 2017, it was assented in January 2017. Up to January 2025, 8 years, 36 billion was accrued to the MPP government. Instead of investing that money purposely to deal with energy sector debts and invest in the energy sector, that money was diverted to other sectors. And when you argue, they will say, oh, we equally need roads, we equally. So when President Mahama took power on January 2025, all the IPPs were still owed. ECG was virtually on its knees. NETCO, GRIDCO. So that is the situation, and for once, we need to deal with it. Nobody is happy about paying higher tariffs, but we are confronted with a dilemma. Do we keep the status quo and get the system completely collapsed under the watch of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? And again, do you flout the very agreement that our predecessor signed with IMF to keep us going and to give us the needed resources to bring the economy back?
Let me bring in George now. George, the economy is better now. Everybody has seen that.
And finally, let us not forget, 2022 to 2025, if we also look at it cumulatively, tariffs increased to about 27% put together. So let us not behave as if MPP never increased at all.
But when you do that, they also tell you that.
They are pretending.
They also don't tell you that within this year alone, you've done over 30%.
Yes, that is why we are saying it's a result of the huge debt they bequeathed to this government.
Isn't the government right to say that? Conditions are okay. We also have an obligation to keep the energy sector going and therefore pay this 9.7. Even water. Because of that, they're asking for over 200. They've only given them 15 point something. Isn't government right to do that?
Yeah, thank you. Our government cannot be right in trying to make life difficult for its people. The TUC people have said this punitive decision by the government, especially in the regime where we know, and nobody, honorable here, will not discount the importance or the effect of exchange rate matters in energy pricing and water pricing. And so if we all agree around this table that when this government came, the cedi has relatively stabilized, right? As we speak, is about 12 to the dollar, okay? If that is the case, and when we were living, it was about 14.7 to the dollar. And so if the exchange rate or the forex has come down, and you claim things are getting better under this government, what is the justification then that you must be increasing tariffs, especially for water and electricity? It doesn't sink in because you say there's a stabilized currency, and we know a lot of the investments in the energy sector is importation of materials, right? That is used for servicing the turbines or engines or whatever to get its energy. And then the water sector, as you're saying, there's the huge pollution of our water bodies. And so Ghana Water must do extra to be able to get us clean water. And therefore, they are going to import a lot of the materials they use in making the water, chlorine and all those things. And so then what is the justification? Because the cost is not going to be overly high because of the relative stability of the currency, per their argument. Then what is the gain? We're talking, the former finance minister did say, yes, we missed some of the targets with the IMF, but it's not all the targets, as they are claiming that we missed all the targets. No. And again, if we had missed all the targets, the IMF wouldn't have given them the clear for the agreement. You get it? And so that is another clear sign that, no, we didn't miss. We were very careful about targets as far as the IMF programs were concerned. And again, yes, indeed, President Mahama did say that we had gone to sign an agreement every 3 months we were to increase tariffs and all that. And as he said, the government must be sensitive to the needs of the people. You cannot just be pushing the prices when you know the situation was very difficult. And everybody in Ghana knew that one of the reasons why we lost power was the difficult situation in 2024 especially. You get it? And so if you have come and you are doing all things to make it worse when you claim inflation, as we speak, is about 6.3, Kojo. Inflation is down, okay? If inflation is 6.3 from 23.2 or so, then there should be effect. Yes, I understand that inflation doesn't mean prices are coming down. It's the rate of rise of prices of goods and services. Yeah. But that actually sends an encouraging comfort to the consuming public that inflation is at certain level minimal. And exchange rate is at a certain level that is very encouraging, you know. So it shouldn't be the case that people and prices are going up and people are struggling. Kojo, people ask, what is the effect of this stability of the currency on the market, especially the Abosokai market, okay? Spare parts and everything. No reduction. You get it? No reduction. And yet we say there's improvement in the forest sector. And the government is pumping average of $1 billion into the market for the CD stabilization. Okay? So what is happening? How are we benefiting from that? How is that not translating to government cushioning the consumer on electricity and water tariffs? Okay? It's not fair to the consumer. It's not fair to the consumer. We need to look at that. And that is what the TUC is speaking about. You give us 9% salary adjustment. Last year, they gave 2025, they gave 10%. And then 2026, they're giving 9%. Okay? And then look at the average increments. Because you even gave the full year increment in excess of 30%, right? And so how is that beneficial to the unionist or the Ghanaian worker or the ordinary consumer in the market, especially these difficult bites coming from a social democratic party like the NDC? Okay, it's not fair to the consumer.
What my brother has failed to address is, so how do we deal with the energy sector?
Don't worry, I'm getting there. Don't worry, I'm getting there. You get it? No. So there are windfalls. What I'm saying is that if you have been able to stabilize the dollar against the CD, there ought to be some windfalls somewhere. What it means, Kojo, is that, go check it. When we were in power, once upon a time, when the dollar exchange rate, CD dollar got to about 17, it shot our debt portfolio high, all of a sudden. You get it? And when we met with the Ministry of Finance and those things were aggregated and explained to us, we realized, okay, the debt component was very huge. And so if, on the converse, the exchange rate depreciation is stabilized and you are getting, what it means is that your debt portfolio is going to...
And that has been announced.
Yes. So it cushions you. And then you have something to support the ordinary consumer. That is what a caring government must do to its people. Okay? That's why I'm saying anytime I'm with them, say you are social, you are center-left, right? So you care about the ordinary. But interestingly, all center-left these policies have been implemented by our center-right party. Our party. And he agrees with that. Okay, so Honorable, we are saying that consider the ordinary consumer because of the windfalls you've gotten. Yes, we need the power on, Kojo, and they need to pay them. And that is where my brother, John Jinapor, and his team must be able to liaise with the finance minister to be able to get this. Who were paying them? No. Who were paying them? Who were paying them? The debt was huge. The debt was huge. Yes, no two ways about that. You get it. But it didn't mean we negotiated and made payments. And that is why the powers were on. Otherwise, they would have shut down completely.
But immediately we took over, they had already threatened. And
of course, they threatened in October, they threatened in November, they threatened in December.
The 36
but we engaged them.
Accrued from ESLA into other areas. Nobody is saying road sector is not important, other sectors are not important. But that tax is specifically to deal with the energy sector issues.
But you know the squeeze in liquidity. You know it. You get it. The IMF thing and then debt repayment and others. So you cannot. That's how in most of the institutions we capped their revenues and expenditure. You remember those things? There was capping so that it can be pushed to other sectors. And we didn't have the access to the capital market. Okay. You know about that. Yeah. And so you, as a government, you must do things that will make the economy
But at the time you were leaving office, you didn't have access to the capital market. And our international rating was, in quotes, junk status.
Yes.
So,
that is why you must be able to manage things well. Yes.
Let me make this clear. Every right-thinking person should be sympathetic to these rises. But you ask yourself, what options do we have available? Again, let us also let it be known out there that with this quarterly adjustment, if things improve, it will get to a point at certain quarters, prices will rather come down. The formula does not. They look at all the factors. That is why you see this electricity thing we're talking about. They were asking for over 280%. That was not given.
They asked over 800, 400%.
No, that was not given. Only under 10% was given. And as I indicated earlier on, it is excruciating to some level of Ghanaians.
Well,
but the point where you've been running...
You know my pain. It's in the industry, the small industries, and those that you've promised to revamp.
So once again, do you want us to go back to the era of 2014, 2015, 2016?
No.
It is, you see, one thing that we should accept as Ghanaians is that, one, energy is the lifeblood of every developing economy.
Yeah.
So critical, your energy security determines whether you will develop or not. But over the years, politicians have not mastered the...
Do you know what they are doing? They are taking advantage of the goodwill they have up to now and imposing tariffs on the goodwill.
It is easier. It is easier to talk about this.
Let's make progress.
But once and for all, I think we should deal with this energy sector.
So you're saying that after this, we won't have energy sector debts?
So if we manage it properly, in the next 4 years, that when we were introducing the 1 cedi, I was in this house and I said, I will be very surprised if after 4 years we keep coming to ask people to pay some of these
taxes. Can you imagine that 1 cedi is there? You are still
we should manage things in a way that we should deal with this energy sector issues once and for all. You know, over the years, we've always been resorting to emergency measures to deal with electricity energy issues. Now, even though we've not exhausted all our the megawatts we have, the president is thinking ahead to build in excess of 1,200 megawatts plan so that in the next
I just read today a peak period demand is over 4,000.
Exactly. So we gradually getting there. How do we deal with the situation? So if you don't have a proactive, forward-thinking president, he will sit and say, well, let's wait. By 2027, 2028, then the demand has outstripped what we have. And so
thank you.
So he is now looking ahead.
Inflicting the pain on the people.
So there's need for us to pay the hikes.
As I said,
and we'll be paying more.
It's a painful decision, very difficult one.
But Labour says it won't rest.
And the good thing about His Excellency is when agreeing on the 9% rise, there is also an agreement that when the economic situation changes midway, government will have a way of supporting in terms of cost of living allowances to prop them up.
Okay. All right. We just have some five more minutes. Let's deal with the SP's claim of assassination attempt. Let me start from you this time, George. Just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we go about this? Because according to the Minister of Interior, there's no record of the assassination attempt anywhere, but they're investigating it.
Yes, that's good. It's good to investigate because the OSP is such a man and occupying an office that is very sensitive.
How do you investigate a claim that someone...
No, you see, now Sami Dako is put it in the public domain. He's one fine person, a lawyer speaking for the OSP. Now, why is it that as a very important personality like him, with all the national security protection that he's got and all that, I understand he uses a bulletproof vehicle and all that, that there were assassination attempts on him, and he didn't make a complaint twice at any police station in the country? It's not right, but I'm not saying it's a lie. I believe, indeed, it happened. Otherwise, Sami Dako wouldn't have spoken about it. You get it? What made the the SP not to inform the police about the threat on his life? It's not right, because he's a very important individual in the country. And the state is protecting him with all the security we can marshal, with the resources available. And so how come that there are 2 attempts on your life and you'd never reported? It's not fair to even the state, because if something had happened to him, they would have blamed the government then, because he said it preceded this government.
So you get it? That
so they would have blamed our government, which is not fair. Twice. Sami and your boss, please rethink and do things right. And I commend the Minister for Interior for deciding to go into this matter. They must call Sami, they must call the SP, and then go into the details of it so that we know where it happened, how to avert any.
I totally agree with George, so I wouldn't spend much time. Now that the Minister has a call for investigation, let us wait for the outcome of that investigation. But Kwajo, let us also not forget that it is just a year ago that the people of Ghana overwhelmingly voted for NDC to come to power. And 1 year down the line, Kwajo, we came to office at the time. Inflation was hovering around 24%. Precisely, it was 23.8. No, 0.8. 23.8, and it is now around 6%. 6.3 is 6%. At the time, fuel prices were hovering, Kwajo, 17.
I have one last statement.
Now, to 1 liter. At the time, Kwajo,
I need to go.
Get fund releases had been capped. Kwajo, at the time, common fund releases had been capped. And now we are releasing 10 times more what they were releasing.
Thank you very much,
gentlemen. Give me power, I will give you jobs. And Japan. Give me power, I will give you jobs.
Honorable Dixon Tradia is Member of Parliament for Brekum West. And also George A.C. is former Director of Communications of NAD. Well, that does it for the news review.